All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, I caught this very interesting topic on the show Max on Boxing. Max basically has this mailbag section or segment of his show where he allows viewers to ask him certain boxing questions. And one of his viewers asked him a great question. He asked, does Max Kellerman think that Canelo Alvarez is the greatest Mexican fighter of all time? And I said, wow, that's a great question, because unfortunately there's a very common consensus, at least in my view. It's unfortunate that the greatest Mexican fighter of all time is Julio Cesar Chavez. And in my personal opinion, I'm not even quite sure if he's top 5. If he's top 5, he's 5. And when I hear people say that Julio Cesar Chavez is the best Mexican fighter ever, that tells me that they're not quite sure what they're looking at when they watch a boxing match. They don't understand what real boxing skills are. Chavez was a great fighter, don't get it twisted, great fighter. But for the most part, he was built by his promotional company, particularly Don King. Great fighter, don't get it twisted. But is he on the level of Ricardo Lopez? In my view, no. Was he as good as Juan Manuel Marquez? In my opinion, no. Was Chavez as skilled or as good as Canelo Alvarez? In my opinion, no. And once again, and I've stated this in other videos, in my humble opinion, the greatest Mexican fighter ever was Salvador Sanchez. Impeccable, unbelievable fighter. Other than Mayweather, I've not seen a fighter who maxed out on every skill, and one can make the case that he maxed out even more than Mayweather, because Salvador Sanchez had one-punch knockout power. There are very few fighters in the history of boxing who were as comfortable in the ring, wherever he was in the ring, as Salvador Sanchez was. He could out-slugfest you. He could outbox you. He was great fighting off the ropes. He was great fighting out of the corner. He was great in the middle of the ring. He had phenomenal footwork. Tremendous dexterity, both of feet and hand. As already stated, great power, great speed, great chin. He would embarrass great fighters in a way that really I've only seen Floyd Mayweather do. Salvador Sanchez has become one of the most underrated pugilists of all time. That's why I found it very interesting and refreshing when Roy Jones brought his name up when he had his interview with Shannon Sharpe, because Salvador Sanchez was unbelievable as a fighter. When I watch Chavez, I see a fighter who really can only fight coming forwards, has great power, great determination, but you can nullify him if you're a high-level boxer, as we saw with Pernell Whitaker, who got robbed in their fight. Juan Manuel Marquez, tremendous all-around boxer, one of my favorite fighters of the 2000s into the 2010s. He's also become criminally underrated as the span of time in between his fighting career and retirement has lengthened. He's right there with Pacquiao, in my opinion. When you watch all four of their fights could have gone either way. All four of them. I think that Juan Manuel Marquez is right there on the same level as Pacquiao. And of course, Ricardo Lopez, or Finito, I think his nickname was, probably the most criminally underrated and unknown great fighter of all time. Not even just Mexican fighter. And as I believe I've already stated, it's very obvious that when you watch him fight, that he was a huge influence on Juan Manuel Marquez. So just to answer the question, do I think that Canelo Alvarez is the greatest Mexican fighter of all time? No, not yet, but I do think that he's greater than Julio Cesar Chavez. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Welcome back to Max on Boxing. This is Max Me Anything. Your questions, my answers. One round. Ring that bell. First question. Mantis asks, has Canelo surpassed Julio Cesar Chavez on the list of great Mexican boxers?
Yes. Yes, he has, in my view. I think that Canelo Alvarez has fought greater competition, even in his brief career, than Chavez has fought. And I think that Canelo has a greater overall skill set than Chavez had.
Not what must he do to accomplish that? No, I don't think he's passed them yet, but I do think that it's a legitimate question. That's how much Canelo's accomplished. It seems sacrilege in boxing circles to compare him to Julio Cesar Chavez. You can't. They both reached pound-for-pound #1 status in the eyes of many.
Let me say this. In my view, just my opinion, Chavez was never the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. He's lived off of that Meldrick Taylor fight. Well, Meldrick Taylor, unfortunately for the brother who he's ended up in the aftermath of his career brain damaged, was easily winning the fight, but decided that he still wanted to go toe-to-toe, even down the stretch of the bout, giving Chavez opportunities to hit him with hard punches. And let me also say this. It would not surprise me or shock me if Chavez was loading his gloves. I'm not saying that that's what he was doing, but it wouldn't surprise me. But I just think that, I mean, he gets way too much equity for that one fight against Meldrick Taylor, where Meldrick basically gave him the fight by fighting stupid down the stretch of the bout.
They both had tough earlier career fights against the likes of Juan Laporte and Rocky Lockridge for Chavez in close wins. In Canelo's case, Erislandy Lara and Austin Trout, both with big wins in super fights. Canelo against Triple G.
I always give Canelo Alvarez credit. He's always willing to get into the ring with higher level black fighters. I've stated repeatedly, Canelo's basically his weakness is that he has very slow feet. So his handlers have done a good job in aligning him with fighters that have a name, but who also have slow feet. That's right there in Canelo's breadbasket. If you get in the ring with Canelo and you don't have good feet, you're going to lose. And you're probably going to get hurt really bad.
Chavez against Meldrick Taylor. If Canelo were to move up to light heavyweight and beat better BF, it might be tough to put any Mexican fighter in the history of boxing above Canelo.
Just going off eye test, Canelo's never going to be Salvador Sanchez, bro. If you watch Salvador Sanchez fight, you'll understand what I'm talking about. He was right there in the Mayweather class. Am I saying that he was as naturally talented as Mayweather? No. But skill set, skill for skill, Salvador Sanchez is there with anybody who's ever boxed.
Next question.
Now, unfortunately for Salvador Sanchez, he passed early due to a car crash. I think that he was like 24, 25 years old. But up until that time, he was just destroying dudes in boxing. I mean, he was incredible. But anyway, peace.